Today's video is all about why does it take so long to get rid of an accent? This is a question that I get almost every single day by people who find me on the internet who are feeling frustrated, they're feeling stuck, they are over being asked where they're originally from, or they're tired of being judged for being different, for sounding different, for being an other after they've lived and been working in the United States for X amount of years. So I wanted to make this video to address those concerns and to talk about what you can really do about it, the reality and the expectations that you set for yourself, and how to deal with crappy people as you go along your day. So let's dive right in. When you move to a new town or city, and let's be specific here about coming to the US, or maybe you were born and raised here, but you speak multiple languages or you have a regional accent. When you are from a specific community and then you leave that community and you try to set up elsewhere, even if it's within the same country but a different region, you most likely want to be able to connect with the people that you're going to see on a daily basis, the people who sell you things, the people you buy from, the people who look after your kids, the people that you work with, the people who you need help from, the people you order food from, right? Everybody wants a sense of belonging, of being heard, being understood, and feeling seen and recognized. But when your interactions are being met with this obstacle that people are then pointing out that you sound different from them or what they're used to hearing because of your accent, it's understandable that it would bring up these feelings of like insecurity and self-doubt and maybe self-loathing, self-hating. There's a spectrum of feelings that can come up for people when they're being made to feel like they are different from everyone else and not in a good way. It's understandable that after some time you would start to question people's intentions behind why they are so curious about where your accent is from, especially if it's not getting in the way of your interactions and it doesn't have anything to do with what you're there for. Most times people are genuinely curious, especially when you are in a country where everyone is from somewhere else. It's coming from a place of just wanting to know more about you, being curious about your origins, your culture, the different languages that you speak, the different places that you've traveled to. Sometimes people who are born and raised in the US don't get as many opportunities to see the rest of the world. And so it definitely is not always meant to be an attack or an intrusive question, but it does start to become a problem when people are trying to put you in a very specific box because they're trying to sort out whether you're from here or not from here. And if you're not from here, then perhaps they see you as a threat or a problem or an outsider or somebody who is not like them. You're not one of us. You are not our people. You're not born and raised here like the rest of us, or you haven't been here. You haven't been through what the rest of us have been through. It is an inherent survivalist instinct to judge and have bias against those who look, sound, act, or think differently from us. Our inner caveman sees that as a threat, a cause for alarm. And in today's world, it can definitely be met with hostility and discrimination. So when you think of it that way, it's obvious that people who want to work on their accent are wanting to have better interactions with people so that they can have more chances of being met with open arms and open minds instead of being closed off, feeling defensive, feeling attacked, feeling threatened. And it's unfortunate that it has to come to that, but this concept is true no matter where you are in the world, no matter what language you speak, no matter what you look like. When you rub up against people who are different from you, unfortunately, these situations can happen. And they do. Everybody wants to be treated with respect and equality at the bare minimum. I mean, that's the very least that we all deserve, especially if you are putting in so much of your life, your resources, your energy, your family, your everything. You've uprooted and you've come to this country. Like, you deserve just as much as everyone else does, whether you were born here or not, whether you've lived here for a day or 500 days. It does not matter. But unfortunately, like, we've come to realize that not everybody is as accepting, welcoming, and it is what it is. As somebody who works with an international client base and as somebody who comes from a family of immigrants, like, I completely understand the notion of not always wanting to be attached to or associated with the place that you are ethnically from, your nationality, the language that you were brought up to speak, your culture. Not everybody is proud of it. Some people left for a reason. Not everybody wants the negative connotations attached to them if things are going on politically in the world. And that is not for anyone else to judge or to base your identity around, except for you. You get to define how you identify yourself and how you want to show up in the world. And, people will take it or leave it, but you are allowed to not necessarily want to be attached to that place just because you sound like you're from that place. And I understand that as well. So I wanted to approach this topic with a new frame of mind, because getting rid of an accent isn't exactly realistic. It's also very negative. It has a negative connotation around it. It's really just a marketing tactic that a lot of English language teachers like to throw out there, or programs like to throw out there to make you feel like there's something to get rid of, or there's this standard that you need to achieve in order to be accepted. And that's not necessarily true, nor is it the reality. Most people that I work with are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. They are well into their adulthood, and in the last few years is the first time that they're just starting to think about their communication skills in a way that needs to be worked on, needs to be reflected on, and needs to have awareness built around. And it's much more difficult as an adult trying to work on this and confront your challenges with the language if you never feel like you had a solid foundation to work with, or you thought you did, but it's plateaued, or it's not at the level you thought it would be or need it to be, especially as your responsibilities and demands in life, professionally, academically, just continue to go up, and certain expectations are being placed on you. All that to say that the later you start, the longer and harder the journey will be. I mean, it's just a fact of life, right? Like, the older you are when you try to pick up a skill or learn a new habit, the longer it's going to take and the more discipline it requires. But what if your goal isn't solely focused on getting rid of your accent, but instead is shifted to having more positive interactions, being better understood, being met with less resistance or hostility, of you understanding people better, of things not getting lost in translation? What if your goal was to immerse yourself more into the culture and the language and the people, and to understand other people's perspectives? What if you started to believe that you can't control how other people perceive you, how they're going to judge you, and you can only control how you show up in the world? Because the truth of the matter is, even if you perfected your accent, they would still find some reason to judge you for your hair, the color of your skin, your name, the food that you eat. There are people that are always going to find a reason not to like you, not to want to work with you, not to want to help you, not to want to lift you up, not to want to listen to you. And I would hate for you to put so much pressure on yourself to get things right every single time and hyper focus on things like your pronunciation, your accent, when the reality is you are not the problem. Your accent is not the problem. Do you see where I'm going with this? So that's why I want to frame this in a different way, that instead of hyper focusing on getting rid of your accent, there are bigger things that you can focus on in order to have better interactions with the people around you. I don't want to come across as naive and denying the power of communication and how it can get you access and help you move further up in the world, up that corporate ladder, or into spaces that you only can dream of, right? I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that because that's what I focus on for a living, is the power of mastering your communication skills and being more in control when it's your time to show up. But I would rather that you spend your time, energy, and resources focusing on building confidence, into boosting your presentation skills, into getting more confident on camera, into boosting your expressions, terminology, into organizing your thoughts better, speaking clearly, speaking coherently, speaking with conviction, using persuasion, incorporating intonation so that you have a more dynamic voice. Okay, all of these other components of communication outside of hyperfixating on pronunciation and your accent. So, moral of the story is you can still embrace your accent and the things that make you who you are as part of your identity, while still moving to improve your interactions, your confidence, and your communication. Remember that the goal is not to get rid of something that is a fundamental part of who you are, and it might never go away. It's always going to be intertwined with the way that you speak, with the way that you think about your interactions, about your social skills, about the social cues, about the way you pick up on things, the way that you assert yourself, the way that you might hold back what to say. It's so much more your culture and the way that you were brought up, the environment that you were in, the environments that you continue to spend the majority of your time in, the people you work with, your family, your friends, the thoughts and ideas you surround yourself in. That all impacts the way in which you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you interact with other people. And the more that you broaden your horizons and your perspectives, the better conversations and interactions you will have. And they're not always going to go perfectly, and there's definitely going to be times when people are going to meet you with resistance no matter what, as I've said before. But all you can do is try your best to show up more open-minded, more flexible, learn how to adapt to the situation and the person, and make sure that your message is being understood. Your voice at the end of the day and the things that you have to say deserve to be heard. Not everyone is going to want to hear them, but when you've got your chance, I want you to make the most of it. So the next time you feel like your accent is getting in the way, take a step back and see if there are other areas of your speech and communication skills that you can work on. A lot of the things that I tackle with my clients is speaking more slowly, taking your time, not rushing and pummeling through everything that you want to say so you're not eating up your words, incorporating more emphasis and intention behind what you want to say, identifying what's important to you, the why behind your message, so that you can show up with more energy, more passion, more enthusiasm, more excitement, thinking about who your audience is, what their concerns are, where their mind is at when you're having a conversation or presenting ideas to them, and keeping their perspectives in mind, preparing what you want to say ahead of time or thinking before you speak, developing that skill a bit more of not just saying the first thing that comes to you without thinking it through first, right? So again, building that awareness around your speech and speaking with more intention. Other things we work on are speaking with more volume, right? Working on your posture, your body language, your physical presence, and how you connect with other people, or building more confidence around the content that you have to discuss or ask about, right? So let's say you're in a situation where you're going to the doctor's office, you want to make sure you understand what's being discussed, that you show up prepared, or maybe you're going to an interview or a meeting, like doing your research, doing your diligence, spending time with the information, practicing saying it out loud, saying your questions out loud, answering questions out loud. Like all of this impacts your confidence, your communication, right? How clear you're speaking, how well you're able to express yourself. Maybe you're lacking in areas like vocabulary or grammar. Those are areas that need to be developed even as an adult. Like, just because you graduated from school doesn't mean that the learning ends. So immersing yourself more in the culture and the language is so important. Making sure that you're reading, that you're listening, that you're giving yourself opportunities for speaking, that you are writing every day, that you're challenging yourself when you're doing things that push you outside of your comfort zone. Maybe you're not participating in enough socializing, but you only do things that are really formal at work and are very rote and familiar to you. Maybe you need to push yourself out there more and get involved in your community and meet new people and try to make new friends and pick up a hobby. Like, there are so many different ways in which you can go about tackling your communication, building confidence, having better interactions. And yeah, there's going to be bad apples and bad people, in every aspect of life. We all have to deal with them. But I just don't want you to continue hyper fixating on getting stuck of getting rid of your accent. Okay. Because there's so much more to life than that. There's so much more to your interactions than that. And I want you to feel empowered with the power of communication instead of feeling, really hard on yourself and beating yourself up over it. Okay. Now, there are certainly things that you can do to work on your pronunciation if you're getting stuck or you realize you're not being understood. Absolutely. There's some things you just can't avoid. If there's sounds that don't exist in your language inventory, absolutely, you can tackle that. You can watch videos, you can work with a coach, you can download apps, you can get feedback. Absolutely. And I have other videos on that topic, but it's not just about that. It's usually never just that. When people are having breakdowns in their communication or they're being met with resistance or they're having a hard time being understood, it's usually way deeper than that and it's multi-layered. Okay, so that's what I wanted to get out of the way today. I wanted to address it. And if you have any other concerns or experiences that you want to share, any thoughts that you think might be helpful to contribute to the conversation, please chime in, leave a comment, and I would love to hear your perspective on this matter. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.